In case you're looking in that mirror one day and miss my arms, how they wrapped around your waist, and I say that you can love me again, even if it isn't the case. Oh, you don't find what you're looking for. Oh, you're missing my love. Like, this is a 0 from him.
What?
Welcome back. This is episode 7. We only have one more, guys, and it is getting juicy.
It's been crazy.
It's been really crazy. Absolutely insane.
Hey, do we ever introduce ourselves? Just thinking that before. We never introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Rich. This is my wife, Jamie. Now that we're into episode 7.
Listen, the only people that are watching this know who we are.
This is true. I don't know. We may have gotten 1 or 2 random views. You never know. I mean, the content is just so great that I'm surprised it hasn't blown up yet.
We're YouTube stars.
Yep. All right, episode 7, the final country. This episode, the last 3 episodes, I've said it, like, each one has been the best episode so far.
Yeah, it's just getting better. And we're down to 1 more episode.
I know, it's crazy. But this one starts off weird because it's not in any of the 3 timelines that we've had so far.
We have a 4th timeline
now.
now.
And we don't really know. It's like...
It's in between the 90s and 2015.
Yeah.
We're thinking maybe early 2000s?
Early 2000s, because, it looks like she's going to... Oh, well, so... Hayes is dropping off his daughter Rebecca at school. Looks like at college.
Yeah, her first day of college.
So she's 18. It's probably mid 2000s.
Yeah, about that.
Mid 2000s. They allude to the scene later on, but it was cool to see a 4th timeline.
Yeah, and to see more of Rebecca, because all we know so far is they keep bringing her up and the fact that she's estranged from her father, but we don't know why or how. So, and it's a quick scene. He's just dropping her off, and then he looks in the rearview mirror, which I thought was a cool transition shot. Where he looks in the rearview mirror, like looking back at his past, and then it goes back to the 90s, which I thought was a cool film nerd shot.
I don't know if we ever talked about it, but do you think maybe that Rebecca is dead?
I don't know if she's dead, but I do have a theory that she was... that Hoyt, and we'll get to this later, that Hoyt might have taken her as part of this trafficking ring.
Because Henry had said to this episodes back, he was like, she never liked it here.
Yeah.
So, she might not be dead. She might have just left, but something happened. The fact that they keep alluding to her, obviously they're going somewhere with it.
Yeah.
So, after this scene, you go back to the 90s. What looks like the Devil's Den. You have that.
Yeah, it's tower. Now a crime scene again. Yep, it's a tower.
And Purple Haze walks up the stairs, and you see Tom Purcell dead.
Yep.
And Roland's already up there staring.
Yeah, he's already looking at him. He looks really upset. Yeah. Roland looks upset.
Roland's very
There's
upset.
a note, a suicide note, that says, "I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm going to see my wife and son." But it's typed out. I think it was set up. He did not.
They never showed what happened in the pink room.
No, because that's the
left
last
off at the
thing.
end of episode 6 when what's his face, asshole McGee, came up behind him.
Harris James.
Asshole
McGee. Wow.
Harris James was coming up behind him.
It's his official new name.
It's an obvious, easy way to explain things away, and Tom committing suicide wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world.
No, it's not.
But it definitely didn't happen.
No. It was clearly set up. Then it goes back to the house, and Amelia tells Hayes about the black guy with the dead eye that came to her book signing. And Hayes tells Amelia about Tom killing himself. And this is the first time that Hayes is upfront with Amelia about the case and doesn't get angry
actually,
about it.
Openly talking about it.
Yeah.
And she told him about the guy with the eye.
Mm-hmm. And she said, "That's okay." And then she says to Hayes that she thinks that he has Julie. That's Amelia's theory.
Yeah.
So then it goes to 2015. They're doing the interview.
Eliza mentions that there was another contusion in the back of Tom Purcell's head.
Yeah.
Alluding back to when they found him in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically says, this sounds like this is just like what happened in the 80s. You found a dead body and then the case was closed.
Yeah, same thing's happening now. You find a dead body and now the case is closed and they blame it on the dead guy both times.
So going back to the 90s, Hayes is like really pushing to keep going with this. They kind of get into a little argument here. Roland says he's doing Hayes a favor by bringing him back into this. And, he takes a couple shots at
Often
him.
you see the 90s Roland act more political and following the system.
Yeah.
Which is how he got to his lieutenant status and why Hayes hasn't been in the force.
So back to the 80s now. Roland's talking to Tom, who's leaving town. He says he doesn't feel right about Tom leaving, and he gives him his personal number.
Yeah, if he calls him if he needs help, which it seems like he's been used before, like when they called him when he got into that bar fight. And it seems
they alluded to it in the 90s, like
if they don't further the importance of their connection and who I think that they have like a gay relationship, then this scene is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. I still don't know. I don't know if it ever got to that. I think they just had a close friendship. Okay. It's not like necessary really.
No, but it makes it interesting for Roland's past and who Roland is as a person. Because we've just delved into Mahershala's character.
It's true. There's a lot of things that may not really matter, but further their story.
That we know of yet.
Yeah. So now in the 90s, Amelia is talking to one of Lucy's friends, and she's asking her about the dolls. And she shows him a picture of the kids, and you see the two ghosts in the background. Now, this was shown in the preview for the episode.
Yeah.
But it's a black man and a white woman. You can see by the hands.
Yeah.
And they're in ghost costumes.
Yeah. They previously mentioned those two ghost people back in the episode when the kid draws the map of where they went trick-or-treating for Halloween. And he said that Julie got those two dolls from two people dressed as ghosts.
Yeah.
So the friend, it's weird because that picture was never entered into evidence. And now it's 10 years later. This is the 90s investigation now. And the friend seems hesitant to hand the picture over to Amelia, but eventually lets her. I don't know if that's of any importance, but she seems to either she really has a strong connection for these kids and just wants this picture, or she knows something more. So now we're in 2015, back to the interview with Eliza, and she asks if Hayes shared any info with Amelia during the 90s case, and Hayes agrees and says, yeah, well, that's how we talked as husband and wife. And Roland shows up, old man Roland shows up during this documentary. And Eliza continues her interview and asks Hayes if Amelia had any evidence of a bigger conspiracy going on, if anything was covered up. And Hayes says he doesn't think so. So now we go back to the 90s. We're at the motel with the police, and they're looking through the hotel room where Dan was staying, Uncle Dan O'Brien. Which last time we saw Tom was, they got into a scuffle in the room, and Tom, as far as we know, hurt Dan, but I don't think he killed him.
We're not sure if he killed him or not. I mean, they kind of left that cliffhanger.
They're looking...
there's that's one of many loose ends that need to be tied up in that last episode.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope they get to everything.
Dan's hotel room still has all his stuff there.
Yeah.
His car is still outside.
There's no body or anything.
No, there's no body. He's just gone.
Yeah.
So we think that Harris James definitely killed him because he knew too much.
Killed Tom. Or did
I think he killed both of them.
But yeah,
I think Harris is a cleanup man.
Yeah, no, he is. But it was Dan. We don't know if Dan was there with Tom. And he didn't break into the house with him, or
no, he didn't know.
So we don't know when he got to.
We don't.
Dan.
As of right now, from what they showed us, Dan is just gone.
Yeah, that's what we know.
Yeah.
So now, 2015, Eliza is showing Wayne Attorney General Kent's press conference
from the 90s,
which he's wrapping up again. Saying Tom Purcell committed suicide. They're overturning the conviction of Woodard.
Yeah,
he's once again kind of just shutting it down, covering it up, doing whatever he can to just make this case go away.
Yeah, it's almost identical to the 80s press conference when they were convicting Woodard of it.
Yeah. And every time you weren't satisfied, Eliza's like, you weren't satisfied with the AG's conclusion, were you? And he's like, no, I've never been satisfied with any of the case. And it's true. Like back in the 80s, he didn't think Woodard did it. He didn't want it wrapped up.
No.
In the 90s, in this instance, he doesn't. Like basically, Kent is closing it out, saying Tom Purcell was he killed his son and kidnapped his daughter and then committed suicide.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much what they're
it's saying. Yeah.
They're I don't know, did they formally convict him or I don't know if they mentioned that, but
I think they did.
Yeah, because they overturned the conviction of Woodard, so they had to do something.
Mm-hmm. So now we're back to the 80s, and this is, I feel like, one of the last times we see the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they weren't going to go back to the 80s much in this episode, and they did.
But this scene is pretty interesting, even though it's kind of mild. Hayes is discussing with Amelia her writing the book, and he tells her to write a book on her thoughts and things of the case.
He's
which
very
is weird because
encouraging her to do it.
Yeah, and it almost seemed like his idea in the first place, which is weird because throughout this entire series, it feels just very angry for her pursuing
especially
this
in the
writing.
90s.
Yeah, he seems angry that she wrote this book, that she's investigating this case.
Yeah.
So the fact that we found out it was his idea in the first place is a little crazy.
And Amelia's like, do you think that there's a conflict of interest in me doing this? And he's like, people ought to know they closed it because they wanted it closed. Yeah. Basically, and this is again in the 80s. This is after Hayes and Amelia have sex for the first time, do the sex. And
they're officially like a thing now.
Yeah, and this is the night after the whole Woodard incident, or the morning after now.
Yeah, yeah.
So back in 2015, back with the documentary, Eliza's saying that man with the missing eye was identified as Watts. He was looking for Julie.
Is still looking for Julia, and they seem to think that he's the possible procurer for Hoyt.
Yeah.
That we know. He's the roundup of all the girls.
Yeah. And now this is really cool moment. She mentions a crooked spiral again.
Yeah.
And now she brings up this news article where they specifically mention season 1, that whole case, and
Rusty
they show
and Marty,
you see Russ and Cole there, and when it was after they wrapped up their case back in season 1. So that was a really cool little thing, and not to season 1.
Yeah. There's still a possibility, and people think that they might show up in the final episode. I mean, they're both executive producers.
Yeah. I mean, they get that executive producer credit.
Yeah. But even that little, thing is cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. It would be cool. I mean, I still don't know exactly where the timelines line up.
Well, they said 2012. I remember her saying that.
So
that they found the killer in 2012, and then this is 2015. So it would be cool. Now they've made the connection that there's something bigger, that there was a trafficking ring, that girls were being taken around that time, and that the two cops then found one of the killers.
So she's saying that they think one or both of the parents sold the kids off to Hoyt. Probably Lucy with Dan's help.
Yeah.
And then Hayes is kind of shutting down a bit, and Eliza's saying she's disappointed. She's been trying to provide him with these missing pieces, and Hayes is just like, my whole brain's a bunch of missing pieces, and he goes as far as saying, if you'll excuse me, and walks out.
Like
he's pretty much like done, and he's acting like he's done. But then like you see him walking into the room with Roland, and his eyes are like bugging out, like he's excited.
Yeah,
and he tells me, Watts is a one-eyed man. Write it down before I forget. Watts.
Yeah.
And this was the thing where like, write it down before I forget. Like he wouldn't be. He's got no reason.
There was no reason to tell Roland that if he was like.
Yeah, I mean, he could be playing it up, but I didn't think in the first place you were the one who. Kind of
well, it was. He plays it like we said. He plays it in some parts, and other parts it's like it's kind of genuine.
So talking about
Roland dismisses him, and he's like, "Do you think Amelia would want you to keep going with this?" And he's like, "She's the one that wants me to finish it."
Yeah.
And we know that from her ghost telling him that. But he's like, "Watts, write it down before I forget."
So now, now that we stay in the 90s for a bit, Hayes is on the phone. He's acting as West in order to get these flight records.
Flight records, yeah.
And now he's working late doing this. I guess Amelia thought that he was going to be home watching the kids because she was going out doing something for the book. So she brings the kids to the Sawhorse bar. Yeah.
And she kind of has her own Walmart freak out.
Yeah.
Because she's watching the kids out the window while she's talking to the guy, and then all of a sudden she doesn't see her kids in the back of the car, and she rushes out having a panic attack and sees that they're laying down asleep in the back seat. Yep. So it was kind of like going back to like the second or third episode when Hayes freaked out when Rebecca walked away in Walmart.
Yeah.
So Amelia is at the restaurant talking to, I believe it's the same cop that she flirted with before to get the prints and the information about Julie's surveillance tape.
Possibly. Or it could have just been somebody.
Yeah. Somebody who knows something. But,
and he says he saw Uncle Dan talking to a black fellow with a missing eye.
Yeah.
But that was it. I mean, the big part with this is, that Walmart thing that you talked about, like the comparison. Amelia freaks out.
Yeah.
Now Hayes goes to West's house.
Mm-hmm.
He is telling him that he got these phone records. He says that a specific phone number called Lucy 8 times in one night. It was Harris James' personal line. So James, correct me if I'm wrong here. There was a lot taken in, but James flew to Vegas the day before Lucy died and came back after.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's obviously Hayes is really digging in.
And
here.
He didn't mention before
out.
Lucy overdosed in Vegas.
Yeah. So this was another cleanup job for Harris James.
Yeah.
So now Hayes really wants to go talk to James, and West is like, we can't do that. All we can do is make our case. Yeah. And Hayes kind of pushes and makes it personal, saying we've got to do it for Tom.
Yeah. Well, this is like a huge, like, a really well acted scene from Mahershala. Like, he takes
the whole series has been.
Oh yeah, but I mean this one scene I liked a lot because he gets up and he keeps through this whole 90s investigation. He keeps pushing and Roland's like easy. Keeps pushing. Roland's like easy. So he finally gets up and he's like looks at himself in the mirror and he's like, what can I do that's like gonna make Roland get on my side? So he pours himself a drink and then he brings a bottle over and pours Roland a drink. And he says, let's do this for Tom.
Yeah.
And he keeps mentioning Tom. And Roland finally sits up and he's like, you can stop saying that. I'm not a simple man.
Yeah. But he got, but
he got
still
the point.
He got
so
to him.
Roland's on board now to go talk
Yeah.
to Harris James.
So we get there, but before that, 2015 now, another great scene.
Yeah.
This episode was awesome. I sometimes, we're sitting there like taking notes for this, and you don't like realize just how good this fucking show is.
It's incredible. The writing. Yeah. Nick Palazzano, right? Palazzano. Sorry.
Enrico Palazzo.
What?
It's a Naked Gun reference.
Keep going.
Yeah. I think it's Nick Palazzo. Whatever. He's great. So 2015, now, and Hayes and Wes are back on the case. This is awesome, just seeing them.
Two
So they're
old
talking
birds.
to a elderly black woman,
Mhm.
and they're asking her about Harris James.
Yeah, we find out she's a former maid for the Hoyt mansion.
Yes. She helped raise the daughter, Isabel.
Yeah.
You get a lot of information here from this woman.
Yeah, apparently Hoyt's daughter Isabel lost her husband and child.
And she lost her husband at 77 was the timeline.
Yeah, and then she went a little nuts because of it. And so
this man named Mr. June watched over her. And
black man with a dead eye.
Yes. He lived in the basement of the Hoyt mansion.
And her Watson and Isabel had a little thing. Yeah. So now we can assume that Isabel and Watts were the mixed couple in that brown sedan that they kept mentioning.
Yeah, and the ghosts.
And in the ghost costumes, yeah.
So now, I guess this woman's granddaughter comes over, and Hayes gets confused again and thinks it's Rebecca.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna drive you to school." And
he's like, "You got your bags packed?"
Yeah. So then this was another one. There's no reason to fake that.
No.
Clearly he's got some issues.
And then I thought it was a small moment, but when they're walking away from the park,
it was
Hayes,
a big moment.
It was a big moment, but it was quick.
Yeah.
Hayes turns to Roland, and all of a sudden he remembers what he did to Roland for them to not talk for 25 years. Yeah. He doesn't mention it, but he's like, I'm sorry, and he apologizes.
Well, he mentions I shouldn't have said that about Tom getting you to go after Harris, making you do what I want.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So this time he remembers when on the porch scene.
He couldn't
2 episodes
remember.
ago, he didn't. He was just like, whatever I did, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you learn that that's what it was. And Roland again is like, it's okay, But you could see things come back to Hayes every time he's around Roland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then this scene is big.
Yeah.
We're in the 90s. Previously in the 90s, they discussed that they were going to go talk to Harris.
Yeah.
So Hayes and West are staking out in front of Hoyt Farms waiting for Harris James to leave, and then they follow him in his car.
Yeah.
And they pull him over.
Say he's refusing to comply.
Yeah, and they pretty much rip him out of his car.
They rip him out of the car.
Yeah.
And now they bring him to that barn.
Abandoned farm barn.
Now that's where they interrogated that child molester way back. Was that episode 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's their spot. And Wes got his gloves on, and he's just giving it to
he's hard.
He's kicking a shit out of him. It's awesome.
Yeah. And Hayes is basically saying you removed facts from the case when you were working on it. You planted evidence.
Yeah.
Asking him if he likes children.
James is bullshitting. James is like, I would never hurt a child. And then he's like, oh, I'm so hurt.
Yeah.
He's acting very hurt. And this is where Hayes kind of fucks up. Because
the sound effects are crazy because there were moments where I thought Harris was going to die because he kicked his rib into his lung or something like that. Because he was weak.
I bought into it. I thought he was very hurt. But I also didn't like that Hayes uncuffed him. I was like, I don't care how hurt he is, don't uncuff him.
Yeah.
And immediately he uncuffs him, and then James grabs Hayes, goes after him, and Wes shoots him.
Yeah.
Saves him, but now all that evidence is gone. James, you're not getting any confession out of Harris James. You're not getting anything out of him. He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. And now they have to do something with Harris's body.
Yeah. In my notes, I'm like, Hayes uncuffs him, James attacks him, Wes shoots him, and they bury the body. Because I was just writing my notes, I was like, what is happening?
There's a huge argument with them before they figure out that they have to bury Harris's body. And because Wes didn't want to shoot him, and he was kind of like, why did you uncuff him? And there's a huge moment where Wes says, you manipulative, egotistical, and then he stops, and Hayes goes, go ahead, say it, motherfucker. And Wes just goes, no, but I just want you to know that I'm thinking it. It was a really, really good scene, and then he walks off. And then the next you see them burying Harris in the woods, which now we can put together that when Amelia's ghost said, you don't want them to know what you left in the woods, it's Harris's body.
Yeah.
And as of right now in the 2015 case, he's still missing.
Yeah.
So they did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Like, you kind of forget about that. Like, Eliza alluded to that.
Yeah.
And we even talked about that.
There's also a second part to that, which is coming.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what I was saying, like, we even talked about how Eliza showed him that picture, and we said, like, he said he didn't know him, but you could tell he was acting. He remembered that part, I think, or something about that.
Yeah.
Because he knew you could tell in his face, like, he was acting like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he knew something. He might not have known exactly or remembered exactly at that point, but he knew.
Yeah. So now, 2015, Hayes tells Wes that he's been seeing Amelia.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about? He tells him he's been seeing, like, her ghost, this like, figure or whatever. And Hayes and Roland both see the car outside now that's watching Hayes. So Hayes goes out to the front of the car and kind of like heckles him, and the car drives off. But Roland snuck around the back and got a picture of the license.
T14 4TF. I don't know.
Oh, you wrote that down?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't know what the significance is there, but
yeah,
I wrote it down.
At this point, it could be Hoyt.
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also
you know what? We should have looked at
2015.
if they showed the license plate on the limos. Did they? That we didn't get to yet.
You don't know to say.
Anyway, people who are smarter than us might have figured that out already. But now the car pulls off. All of a sudden, Hayes is... This is a cool little transition. Hayes is like alone on dark street, sees fire, walks towards it, and this is now 90s Hayes.
Yeah, he sees
burning his
himself
clothes
burning
in his backyard.
in like a burn barrel.
Yeah. Amelia comes out, asks, "What's he doing? What are you doing?"
Yeah, she looks scared. I
Yeah.
mean, he's like zoned out, completely naked except for his skivvies.
Yeah.
Puts his clothes and he's just watching the fire burn them. And
he's like, "I can't talk about this.
I can't talk about this." And she's like, "Okay, in the morning."
Okay, we have to talk
in the morning. Yeah, but she's. I mean, how would you feel going out and just seeing your husband and wife like burning clothes? Like she knows what's up.
Yeah. So now the next morning they're talking.
They're talking.
She's like, "I need to know everything," and he's like, "I'd be a son of a bitch if I did that to you."
Yeah. Basically saying that I'm protecting you by not telling you.
Yeah. Which is fine. But he agrees, like, I'll start from here on out, tell you as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get a phone call, and now it's Edwin Hoyt.
Edward Hoyt. This is the first
Edwin or Edward?
I heard Edward.
I wrote down Edwin, but it could have been Edward.
E. Hoyt.
E. Hoyt.
This is the first time we've heard from Hoyt. We've just heard about him, and that he owns this disgusting mansion that has child grossness.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Child grossness.
So he's on the phone, and he says to Hayes, "We need to talk about last night." So immediately Hayes knows that Hoyt knows that they killed Harris.
Yeah.
And he wants to discuss it and mentions that he's outside. So Hayes goes to the window and you see two limos.
It's Edward Hoyt. I just had to look that up. Sorry.
It's Edward?
Yeah, you were right. It's Edward. My hearing was wrong. Go on.
He sees two cars outside, and Hayes mentions like, "No, we can talk some other time."
Yeah.
And then Hoyt goes and mentions his wife and his kids' names. So now Hayes is like, "Fuck, yeah, I got it. Now I have to do something."
Yeah,
so
he's like, "No, I'll come out.
I'll be out in a minute." So Amelia's like, "What's going on?" He's like, I'll tell you when I come back.
Yeah.
Let me just do this one last thing, and I'll tell you everything. Yeah. But this is gonna be the last time he's gonna get to tell her everything, because Hoyt's probably gonna have something on him.
Yeah.
So then the last scene is you see Amelia watch Hayes get into the car, and he gives her one last look, like he looks terrified to get in that car with Hoyt.
He gets in the car, they drive off.
Drive away, and
it ends. Every episode has ended like,
Soprano.
It's like literally just cut to black right when it's like getting even crazier than it's already been.
Mm-hmm.
But again, awesome episode.
Yeah.
Now, so there's so many loose ends that are going to be tied up in this last episode.
So many.
But you're going to see this 90s thing how this plays out, and you're gonna see what
Hoyt's
happens in present
involvement.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. And how things... like I mentioned before, because Hoyt threatened his wife and kids, it makes me think that Rebecca got taken into this case, because now both Amelia and Hayes are in this case. It's not just Hayes, so it makes me feel like...
We also, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't know what happened to Amelia, like how she died.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know how she died at all. Yeah. We did find out that Edward Hoyt, because we just heard his voice on the phone. You don't see him in the car. You just know that he's in the car. But we found out that the actor playing Edward Hoyt, which we're going to see in the next episode, is Michael Rooker, who, if you watch The Walking Dead, was Merle. Or if you watch
Guardians of the
Galaxy. What was his name?
Oh, Yondu.
Yeah. He's awesome actor.
Guardians.
Sucks that he's going to play such a dick. But I'm excited to see what they do with him. Because, this is the first time we've heard from Hoyt.
Yeah.
There's only one episode left. That's so crazy.
Yeah. No matter, I don't think I'm going to be disappointed in the finale. But even, regardless of what happens, this was just in a different galaxy as season 2.
We keep shitting on season 2. I know, and it's not a terrible season of television, but it's just when you're comparing it to season 1 and this season of True Detective, it just didn't stack up. I don't know if because we're discussing it more.
Yeah.
Because in season 3, but I'm liking season 3 more than the first season.
It's tough for me because season 1 was so fun, one of my favorite just seasons of anything.
Yeah.
Ever. In the history of the world.
Even Breaking Bad? You're going to say that against Breaking Bad?
I'm saying it as just one season of a show.
Phenomenal.
Breaking Bad, we had the whole
it's
season. Yeah, there were some.
You're putting...
Yeah.
They're both on the shelf?
Yeah. Just put them both there, and then season 2's rolling over there in the trash.
I love you, Colin Farrell.
He was good in it. It's fine. I feel like we end every episode by saying season 2 is terrible.
I also want to, because we haven't really questioned it, at least I don't think, until right now, why they chose 2015 and not present day.
Yeah.
What's the significance?
I could be missing something with how they did.
This makes me think that they really are going to tie it up with season 1.
They could. That'd be awesome.
I would be so stoked.
Yeah. I need to do some investigation about if there are any more tie-ins. Because as far as we know, the only tie-in was that little
the Crooked Spiral, and then this episode.
Yeah. So you don't know.
That's it?
That's it. I'm very excited. Hope you guys enjoy. Let us know what you guys think.
This
what
is
you
your
think's
last
gonna
chance.
happen.
Catch up.
Yeah,
7 episodes so that you can watch the finale. Rude.
Why keep doing that?
Like and subscribe. Leave a comment of your theories. I want to know how you guys think it's all going to wrap up.
Yeah, talk to us. We want to hear from you.
Talk to us. We're your friends. Yeah.
It's creepy. Don't be scared by her. We're friends. Thanks, everyone.